Okay, I'm going to go ahead and show you now. This is Andrew with WealthyFantasyFootball.com. How you can get some really positional, intriguing ways of getting daily fantasy sports rankings using the draft dashboard itself. And so that you can gather and assimilate this information as quickly as possible and make some solid decisions on your investment, or if you gather, just play for fun, of course, on your daily fantasy lineups, of course. So looking at the top pitchers for the slate, we just got to order them up here in terms of best rank. Garrett Cole is obvious for the day for the 13th of April as the main cash game slate play, and he's getting, particular of notice here, 97 pitches per game. He's got some good stuff going on in his pitchers, according to analysts that you may listen to. But, however, his weighted on base percentage is not as good as maybe a top pitcher on the slate, as I would like, because he's at 861 versus lefties, and there are 5 lefties in this lineup here. So be careful. For $10,000, you may want to go against the grain as far as what most people are doing in a chalk for the day, and even in a cash game scenario, look at another guy, but still watch him as it's a good game for a good. In Houston, what's a good hitter's ballpark. So Texas could, even though they're striking out a lot, get some home runs off of Cole. So, and then looking at the next guy, just consider now a +9 weighted on base percentage. But however, be wary. He's only getting an average going back to last year, 70 pitches per game. Very significant if he doesn't get his innings pitched. So he's on hot right now. You can even check here right now. The last 7 games played, if you want to, which is probably about the season's worth, I suppose, maybe 1 or 2 games from last year as well. He's got 0, 3 points, so he has a downside and he has an upside for Luke Weaver. Andrew Triggs, maybe even more interesting option at the pitcher, the next guy down here. Just lift this up a bit at only 8,000 with a +7 on base weighted average percentage. No problem there with that lineup for the Mariners, as his OPS is a bit higher, and if you look at his recent games here, this is how many points he has scored exactly on FanDuel, and averaging even as it shows here, 5.4 innings per play. So 5.4, as you can see here, it's red at only 4 innings a game for Weaver. That's more dangerous. So probably more strictly as a tournament option, Weaver, whereas Triggs, he's more reliable for pitching most of the game, with remembering his key points, weighted on base percentage in his favor. He's got this algorithm in his favor overall. A good place to play. He's healthy, and some of the other obvious season value projection, $313 per point. All of this adding up to him being a really viable option in today's games. However, it's .726, which is actually less, interestingly, than Garrett Cole as his on-base percentage. So keep all those factors in mind. As anybody else you could also consider in tournaments, as far as some some plays here, such as Chad Kuhl possibly versus Miami, as Pittsburgh is favored in that game highly, I suppose, to get the win in Miami, and other various factors. So probably this game here, Chicago White Sox and Minnesota, we don't know if they'll play at least part of the game because of the weather. Not a good option, as well as Jordan Montgomery. So those are your pitching options for the day. You could possibly go with Montgomery if the weather was okay, looking at his numbers here as well. So those are your options. Weigh them out carefully. And then now, as for the top batters for the day, we're just going to look at the batters here, the top players for the day, and see if we can even come up with any stacks based on these values here. Let's see. Instead of sorting them out by position, we're just going to go look for the best batters for the day on the all-day included in the 2 games there. So as far as the main slate is concerned as well, of course. So we got Trout with the Angels. That's good. I'm agreeing with that. I'm watching Judge today. Giancarlo, I'm not going to pay that much an even amount for him, who has a disadvantage as he's not as good versus the righty for Detroit if that game turns out to be playing. So be careful even with Judge. Of course, if you're inserting him into the lineup playing in Detroit, the weather's not good there. As mentioned, Michael Conforto, he's going to have a good day probably for the Mets. That's in New York. And then looking on here, just trying to get an idea of any kind of stack as far as players from the same teams. It's already looking nice here. If the White Sox end up playing, we can look at Delmonico as a very cheap value price. And there was another White Sox here somewhere, I thought. Abreu, you could play them, even though the team is kind of terrible. But Minnesota's pitcher has some weaknesses you can take advantage of if that's the case. But the weather's not good. But so let's find another better stack. So we saw a couple Milwaukee Brewers, I believe. Let's see. Not yet. San Diego, Philadelphia, Boston, St. Louis, Washington, St. Louis, Washington. So really, you could go either way. There's a San Diego guy as far as a stack with Washington or San Diego, and look at stacking those teams in good weather scenarios that have some advantages versus, like, for example, plus 71. Excellent versus the Ty Black guy pitcher. So there you go. Some ideas for some stack. Just fit some other guys into the lineups on either of those teams or both, and you'll have yourself a good day. Thanks for watching.